Hello, this is 𝗣𝗿𝗏, the General Secretary of PCS, with an important campaign update for all PCS members on our campaign for fair pay and pensions. Now, last week we announced the result of our consultative ballot. 90.3% of members, that's nearly 70,000 of you on a 47% turnout, voted to agree that our campaign should continue, and in continuing that campaign, we should agree to do what the executive has proposed, which is to pause industrial action, pause the £5 strike levy, access talks with the government and continue our legal case on pensions, and then report back to you later in the year as to whether we think those have delivered significant progress to settle our dispute or whether we need to take further industrial action. Now, our campaign to this point has been successful. It's been successful because we've been able to engage a majority of members. Tens of thousands of you have taken strike action, over 150,000 of you have paid the strike levy, and thousands of you have taken part in sustained industrial action. As a result of that level of engagement and delivering more strike action than ever before, we forced the government for the first time to put money on the table. A £1,500 one-off non-consolidated payment was made, and the government's pay remit was doubled to an average pay rise of 4.5%. Now, we've been clear those concessions were won because you took strike action, but we're also clear that they are not enough. But it's important in any campaign that we take stock and we see what we can get out of the talks that your strike action have won, and then we make a further assessment together as to whether or not we need to take further strike action or we've won enough. So the executive yesterday made the following decisions. In line with what members have overwhelmingly voted for, we're now going to do a number of things. Firstly, we're going to analyse the outcome of every individual employer talks on 2023-24 pay. We know anecdotally that some employers have paid more than others, some of our members have done better than expected, but many have not had acceptable pay rises. That's not good enough, but it's important we all understand exactly how much members have got and take that into account moving forward in our campaign. The executive therefore agreed to analyse every pay offer and produce a report in October to see where that leaves us in terms of our overall campaign objectives. Secondly, your strike action has forced the government to concede national talks about key issues around low pay, about grading, the fact that we have now members getting the national living wage, getting the same level of pay, even though they're in different grades. We've also raised the question of getting rid of delegated pay so we can have one set of pay negotiations, national bargaining, for everyone. We're also seeking to pursue equal pay for work of equal value and put right some of the long-term structural problems with the way that our pay is determined. Those talks are about to start, and we've made it clear to the Cabinet Office that we need to see significant progress over the next 4 to 6 weeks so that we can advise you whether we think these talks are likely to deliver a successful outcome or we need to consider further industrial action. On your redundancy terms, your action has already won a clear commitment that the government cannot change your redundancy terms before a general election. And finally, on pensions, we still await our legal date in court where we are challenging the government's decision that means the average PCS member is overpaying £500 a year into their pension fund. That's over £2,000 since this overpayment started, and we want that money back. And we are determined to make your case in the courts. Now, for all of that to happen, we're going to now get into an intense period. Talks with the government, analysing the pay outcomes, progressing our pensions legal case, and also issuing important advice to members about recent announcements the government's made about public sector pensions, including the civil service pension, due to the McLeod legal victory and the new options that members can now exercise. While all that is taking place, we need to make sure that whilst we hope these talks deliver significant progress, we need to prepare for the eventuality that they don't. The current government is already beginning to talk tough about what it intends for the public sector in terms of pay in 2024. Therefore, I think it's reasonable to assume further strike action is likely to be needed at some point later this year or early next. We hope not, but we have to plan that it may be needed. To that end, we're asking our representatives and our members to continue to ask non-members to join the union, to continue to get involved in our campaign activities and to continue to ensure that when the time comes, when we consult you, we can deliver massive turnouts and a strong vote. So to conclude, your 90% vote has sent the government and the Cabinet Office a very clear message. Our campaign continues and the talks need to deliver progress in the next few weeks. If they don't, we will have no hesitation in coming back out to recommend that we need to take further industrial action. In the meantime, let's see what the talks deliver. Finally, I can confirm that as a result of your vote, the temporary strike levy that all members have been paying at either £5 or £3 a month will now stop. We've taken measures to stop that as soon as is possible, and members will be notified of changes to direct debits that will mean people will go back to the normal level of subscriptions from October. Thanks very much for listening. Look out for further campaign updates, and let's make sure we stay strong and ensure that if the government doesn't deliver in the talks, that we are ready to take further action when the time comes. Thank you.